Hello and welcome to the lecture series on alcohols, and in this lecture we are going to see the introduction and nomenclature of alcohols. So alcohols as a functional group can be represented by OH, and we'll have an example. Say for example we have the simplest of alkanes, that is methane, and the simplest of alcohols, that is methanol. So here in methanol, this OH replaces this H of this methane. Okay. So as a versatile functional group, these alcohols have a variety of applications, and I have listed some of them. The first is as solvents. Okay. So these alcohols can be utilized for solubilizing a variety of materials. Say for example, many resins, paints, lacquers, etc., and they can be utilized as fuels as well. So one of the most common alcohols is ethanol, and this along with methanol is utilized as fuel. These alcoholic functional groups are also present in many drugs. There are hundreds of drugs which contain this OH functional group. I have just listed two of them, propranolol and atenolol. These both drugs, they are utilized against heart diseases. Okay. And the next use is as industrial feedstock. So these alcohols, they can be utilized for synthesizing different kinds of compounds in industry. Now these R groups, they can have many varieties. For example, these can be any alkyl or substituted alkyl group. Okay. These alkyl groups may be primary, secondary or tertiary. We'll just have a look at these examples below. They may be open chain or cyclic, or they may contain a double bond, a halogen atom or an aromatic ring as well. So you can see that these alcohols have got a variety of structures. Some of these structures are given here. So this is the first one. Here this carbon is containing 3 alkyl groups and 1 hydroxyl group, 1 OH group. This is called as tertiary butyl alcohol, and this is an open chain compound. Now the second example contains a double bond. The compound in picture here is an allyl alcohol. The third contains a cyclic ring, right? So this ring is not aromatic, but the fourth, it contains an aromatic ring. But what we have to see is that this OH group is attached to a carbon, and that carbon is attached to the aromatic ring here. Okay, so this is an aromatic ring. Here in the next example, we have a chloro group substituted at the alkyl chain. Okay, so we can say that this is a substitution. And in the last example, we have 3 hydroxyl group in the compound called as glycerol. So these are multiple hydroxyl group. So all these compounds, they will be considered under alcohols. Why? Because all of these are containing this OH group. Okay. So the characteristic reactions of these compounds are due to this OH group, right? So there may be many substitutions in and around these carbons, but the reactions of hydroxyl groups can always be performed on these hydroxyl group containing. And let us see a difference here. Say for example, I draw this compound. What is the difference between this and this compound? Here this OH is attached to a carbon which is aliphatic in nature, and that carbon is attached to an aromatic ring, whereas in this case this hydroxyl group or this OH group is directly attached to this aromatic ring. So this compound is called as phenol. Okay. Now you have to remember one thing, that these phenols, they have considerably different chemical properties than the alcohols. So these are an entirely different class. Okay, these phenols, these are an entirely different class. Now with this introduction, let us see the classification of alcohols. Okay, so here you will find that this OH group is attached to a carbon, this OH group is attached to a carbon, and this OH group is attached to a carbon. Okay, so whereas in the first case this carbon is attached to one substitution, okay, the second group or the second compound rather represents that the carbon is attached to these two R groups, and in contrast the third contains the bonding of this carbon with 3 R groups. So in the first instance, where this carbon is attached to one R group and 2 hydrogens, this will be called as the primary alcohol. Where this carbon is attached to 2 alkyl groups or 2 substitutions, it will be called as a secondary alcohol. And in the tertiary alcohol, you will find that this C is attached with these 3 R groups. Okay. So the oxidation reaction can be utilized for differentiating between primary, secondary and tertiary. Specifically the reaction is called as Jones oxidation. Okay. And we will see this later on in our lectures. And all the other reactions of this group can be very similar in terms of products, but they will differ in the rate or mechanism of reaction, but nonetheless you will be able to predict the product for the reactions which are going through this OH group. With this introduction, let us come to the nomenclature of alcohols. So the alcohols can be named in 3 different ways, namely common names, the carbinol system and the IUPAC system. Okay. Let us see these nomenclature systems one by one. So the common names are generally utilized for those alcohols which are very commonly utilized, and here what you will find is that this OH group is suffixed as alcohol. So whenever you will come across any common name, you will have the suffix as alcohol and the prefix will be represented by the alkyl group. So in this case we will see that here this OH is attached to an alkyl group which is containing 1, 2 and 3 carbons. So this will be called as propyl, right? So here this compound is propyl alcohol. Okay. The other examples can be CH3OH. So we will write alcohol for OH and methyl for 1 carbon. So this is methyl alcohol and this is ethyl alcohol. Again this OH, this will be suffixed as alcohol and we have 1 and 2 carbons, so this will be represented by ethyl. In the carbinol system, this methyl alcohol is named as carbinol, and any other substitution on this carbinol will be treated as the prefix. So again, let us see how we can name these compounds. So in this case, this carbinol will always be utilized as suffix. Okay. So in the first example, you will see that this is our carbinol, and this carbinol is attached to an alkyl group which is containing 2 carbons, and therefore this is called as ethyl carbinol. In this example, this is our carbinol, and this carbinol is attached, and this carbinol is attached to 1, 2 and 3 benzene rings. Now the prefix for benzene is phenyl, and since there are 3 phenyl groups, we will say that this compound is triphenyl carbinol. Let us come to the IUPAC nomenclature then, and what we will do here is that we will first see these 3 structures and try to distinguish between these 3 structures, and then we will try to come up with a scheme through which we can name any alcohol. Okay. So in these 3 structures we will find some distinction, and the first is a compound in which you find only the OH and the alkyl group. Remember, this is the same compound that we have named in carbinol as well as common names system. Okay. In the second structure, you will find this OH along with this chloro attached at the alkyl chain, and in the third you will find this OH and this carboxylic acid group. So we will try to name all these 3 compounds, but first let us come to the scheme through which we can name all these compounds. So this scheme is represented by a formula which says that secondary prefix plus primary prefix plus root word plus primary suffix plus secondary suffix. So this formula can be utilized for naming any of the organic compound. Okay, we will utilize this formula for naming specifically alcohols right now, but you can find this complete scheme for nomenclature in the other video. Okay, so here you will see that all these are comprising prefixes and suffixes, but the one thing that is in the middle represents the root word. Now what do you mean by root word? Root word will always represent the number of carbons in the longest continuous chain or backbone. Now how will you identify the longest continuous chain? You will always have to remember that this longest continuous chain will comprise of substituents, multiple bonds and functional groups, or all of these. So we will see what this means in a while when we will be taking an example. Okay, so this root word must always be identified at the beginning of the nomenclature. So how will you be able to name the root word? If you have 1 carbon, you will say that the root word is meth. For 2 carbons it will be eth. For 3 carbons it is prop, 4 but, 5 pent, 6 hex, 7 hept, 8 oct, 9 non and 10 dec. Okay, and after this root word we will come to our next important part, and that is the primary suffix. This primary suffix shows us which kind of bonds are present between the carbons representing the root word. So, say for example, if all the carbons are having single bonds, the primary suffix we will utilize will be "ane." If any one of the carbons contain, any two of the carbons in fact contain a double bond between them, we will utilize the term "ene," and if any two of the carbons contain the triple bond between them, it will be termed as "ine." So, let us take one example very quickly. So, this is CH4, right? It is containing one carbon. So, the root word will be identified first, and that will be meth, and then we will find that there is no scope of any double or triple bond. So, this will be always a single bond, and therefore, we will put the suffix as "ane," whereas in this case we have two carbons, so we will use the root word as "eth," and since we have the double bond between them, so we will use "ene." Now, whenever you are coming across these double bonds in the compounds larger than these, you will also have to mention the number of these double bonds. We'll just have an example later on in this video only. Okay, so this is how you can utilize the root word and the primary suffix. And the thing that is important here is that even the simplest of alcohols will always contain these two components of this formula. Okay, it might be possible that the other components may not be present in say for example alkanes. Okay, but these two will always be there, just remember that. Okay, now let us come to the next component, that is the primary prefix. This primary prefix is always represented by cyclo, and this is utilized only when there is a cyclic ring present. So, for example, we have this compound. Okay, we will number all the carbons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So, this gives us the root word as hex, and since all the carbons are attached through single bonds, we will say "ane." But is this the correct representation of this compound? No, because see, if I want to make hexane 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, I can make it like this. So, how I can differentiate between this and this? I'll have to put the prefix, that is the primary prefix cyclo here, because here the ring structure is present. Okay, if there is no cycle, this primary prefix can be omitted altogether. Okay. The next thing to consider while naming any organic compound is not the secondary prefix but the secondary suffix. Remember, you have to follow this order so that you do not get confused. First you will find the root word, then you will write the primary suffix, and then if there is a cyclic ring present, you will write the primary prefix. After that you will jump on to the secondary suffix. Now here in this table you will find that the secondary suffix is again divided into two parts, suffix and prefix, and this has to do with a term called functional group priority. Okay, so if suppose there is a condition where there are more than one functional group present in any compound, so this picture will come into play. Here you can see that the first functional group is carboxylic acid, the second is ester, the third is acid chloride, and so on. Okay, so when we talk about the functional group priority, the functional groups placed above in the in this particular table will be utilized as suffix, and the functional groups below that group will be considered as the prefixes. Say for example, we have this compound over here, CH3 CH OH and COOH. We will name this compound later on, but just remember that this COOH, since it is the first in the functional group priority table, it will always be utilized as the suffix and the other will be utilized as prefix. Okay. You will get a clear picture when we will take some examples. Now let us come to the next term, and that is the secondary prefix. Okay. So this secondary prefix represents the functional groups which will always be considered as substitutions. So if these are present, you will always consider these as substitutions and not as functional groups. Some of the examples here are the alkyl group, the alkoxy group that represents the ether, the halogens, okay, sorry, the halogens and the nitro group. Okay. So with this preamble, let us take some examples and we will try to understand this nomenclature through these three examples that we have seen on the previous page. Okay. So the first example is this compound. Here it represents 2, 3 and OH group. Okay. So now let us find out the root word first, 1, 2 and 3. And one thing you have to remember is that the numbering will always be preferred from the side from which the functional group is the closest one. So for example, in this case, this OH group is closest to this carbon and therefore it is given as carbon number 1. So if you want to give the number like this, 1, 2 and 3, this is not accepted as per the IUPAC nomenclature. Okay. So this is carbon number 1, this is carbon number 2 and this is carbon number 3. So for 3 carbons we use the root word prop. Are we able to see any double or triple bonds? No. So C single bond C will always be represented as ane. So this is ane. Okay. And now this hydroxyl group. Let us find out where this resides in our functional group priority table. So we will find that it is at the 8th position right now, and since this is the sole functional group here, we will utilize it as a suffix and we put all. So can we put this all like this? No. IUPAC recommends that whenever you are putting a suffix, a secondary suffix, what you will have to do is you will have to get rid of the E of the primary suffix and you will then write the secondary suffix like this, propanol. Okay. So this is the proper IUPAC name for this compound. Okay. Now let us take one more example. Here we introduce a double bond between these 2 carbons. Now as per our convention, the numbering will start from where the functional group is the closest one. So this will be carbon number 1, this will be carbon number 2 and this will be carbon number 3. Okay. So again we will see that our root word would be prop. This time we will use ene. Okay. But as we have discussed that if there are more than 2 carbons, we will have to specify the position rather of this double bond as well. So this double bond is between carbon number 2 and carbon number 3. So we will use the lowest number, that is 2. Okay. So we will write prop 2 in, and I won't use this E because we will have to replace it anyway. Okay, and all. Now here in this case you will realize that this compound is having two functional groups, and we have listed both these functional groups over here. Okay, so here is our alcohol and here is our alkene, right? So we can find this alkene over here. Now since this alkene is coming lower down the order in this table than alcohol, we have utilized it as the prefix okay, and then we have utilized this as a suffix all. Okay. Now let us take one more example from the drawn compounds. Here it is. Okay. In this cyclohexane, suppose if I introduce an OH group. Okay. So this is cyclohexane. We have utilized the primary prefix, we have utilized the root word, and we have utilized the primary suffix. Here again this E will be replaced with this all. So this compound becomes cyclohexanol. So I think we have had sufficient examples for us to understand, and now let us take the next example and let us draw this compound. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. We have a hydroxyl group and we have a carboxylic acid group. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 carbons. We have a hydroxyl group and we have a carboxylic acid group. I'll just represent it in this manner so that it is somewhat clear to us. Okay. So now if we want to name this compound, again we have to find out the root word. Now in this example we will see the effect of this sentence over here, containing substitutions, multiple bonds and functional groups. Okay. So at the first sight you can see that you have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 carbons long chain. Okay, but and again this chain is representing the hydroxyl group as well as the carboxylic acid group here as well, but there is one glitch over here in this kind of numbering. Okay, and what is that? That is, this is not completely representing the functional group. Now remember that this functional group carbon has to be counted towards the numbering. Always wherever there is a functional group containing carbon, that carbon of that functional group should be considered for numbering when that functional group is utilized as secondary suffix, as we will see in this particular example over here. Okay. So we will put this functional group into our path of numbering, and since this functional group carbon or this functional group contains carbon, so this carbon will always be preferred. So this will be carbon number 1, this will be carbon number 2, this will be carbon number 3 and this will be carbon number 4. So this will be the proper numbering for this compound. So now you will see that it is containing one functional group, two functional group and the third alkyl chain as well. Okay. So now let us name this compound. This is containing 4 carbons. So the root word will be but. Okay. Is this chain having any double bonds between two carbons? No. So we will use N as our primary suffix, and then we will name our secondary suffix, which in this case is this carboxylic acid group. Here you can see that we can name it as oic acid or carboxylic acid. We will prefer oic acid over here. So this will be butanoic acid. Okay. Now we have done our exercise to identify the root word, the primary suffix and the secondary suffix. The primary prefix in this case is missing. So now it is the turn for secondary prefix, or I'll say prefixes. Okay. So we can see that there are two prefixes. One is this OH substitutions, rather one is this OH and the second is this ethyl group, right? So this OH, this will be called as hydroxy as prefix, and this ethyl group is a representative of this alkyl group. So we'll say that this is ethyl group. Now whenever we come across this situation where we have two substitutions, okay, how do we write these substitutions? We will have to number these, right? No problems with that. But one more thing we have to consider is that they will always be written in their alphabetical order, whatever their numbers are. So in this case, this ethyl group you can see is at the second carbon, and this hydroxyl group is at the third carbon. So ethyl group will be preferred when we will be writing the name. So first we will represent the position of this ethyl group, that is the second. We will write 2-ethyl, okay, and then we will write, oops, I think I'll just have to have some more space. So I'll take it 2-ethyl and 3-hydroxy butanoic acid. So in this manner you are able to successfully name these kinds of compounds in which there are multiple functional groups as well. Okay, so we have seen the examples of nomenclature of these compounds. We have taken a simple alcohol, we have taken an alcohol with a double bond, we have taken an alcohol with a ring, we have taken an alcohol with multiple functional groups. So I think with these concepts you will be able to name a variety of alcohols successfully, and so with this we'll end this lecture. Thank you very much.